Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be none other than Deimos, which I've been casting a lot of lately, which is understandable. It's a very fun to watch bot. Taking on MicroMachine. So, a TVP, but more importantly, a bot versus bot match where the rules are a little bit different than your standard Terran versus Protoss. And we are on the map Grezvin, the AI edition. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. You guys are the best at it. You always blow it out of the water. You got an eye for that button. You always know where it is. So, I don't know if we can hit, let's say, 33 likes on this video. That would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots, as that helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm as well. And we'll just have to see where this game is going to go here. So we've got Deimos going for a bit of a probe scout out on the map. And at the start of the match, MicroMachine letting us know that it won 40% of their encounters, which is pretty impressive for MicroMachine, seeing as how Deimos is a really darn good bot. And MicroMachine also, I don't believe, receives too many updates, as I think it's mainly just maintained to be kept on the ladder, but I could be mistaken about that. But yeah, I believe it's not updated too much more, which makes it all the more impressive that it's so darn good still. And we are lucky to have it on the ladder still, as MicroMachine is one of the staples in the bot scene, I'll say for sure. So we've got that Reaper. It kills that scouting probe right away. MicroMachine is going for double gas, and that sound I hear, it can only be one thing. It's a MicroMachine unique trick, using that bunker to rapidly mine gas a little bit faster, or well, I guess with fewer SCVs than it actually needs. Now, we've got a starport on the way for MicroMachine, going up inside the main base, and no natural just yet, whereas Deimos is going for its own natural base. So being a little bit quicker in the macro, Deimos can reach 3 bases saturated very quickly if left to its own devices. We'll see if MicroMachine can slow it down or not, as these Marines do have an adept in the wall to contend with. The Reaper is still out on the map, and it's actually doing some work on some probes. It's already got 2 kills. It's going to be looking to get another 1 or 2, as MicroMachine's Reaper control is pretty darn good. Probably the best Reaper control there is in the bot scene, which is kind of silly to say, because you can just say, hey, well, couldn't all of the bots just use the same programming? And I mean, yeah, but you actually have to go about programming it yourself, unless you're just ripping off some public code or something like that. And MicroMachine's Reaper control is definitely more aggressive than the others. This adept is going to shade into the main base of MicroMachine. It does not complete that shade. There's lots of SCVs just hanging around that command center, which I can assume they're just hanging out so they don't mess with the speed mining or something like that. And then they'll probably get to mining normally, I assume, when there's another base up for MicroMachine. Deimos is going for Phoenix this game, chasing down that poor Reaper. How many kills did it get? It got 4 kills in total, but it will meet its end. That's still a pretty darn good life for a Reaper. Meanwhile, the Marines for MicroMachine, they're watching each other's back. A Phoenix tries to gobble one up, but that doesn't happen. An Adept gets too far forward and will get taken care of, so MicroMachine should be able to secure up its natural with really no hiccups. Meanwhile, Deimos is just saturating up its natural, producing an observer, getting up its tech, but I imagine we'll see a third relatively soon, as that command center does get secured. Phoenix for Deimos are still lurking. There is a Marine that actually gets lifted up. The Phoenix are going to pounce on top of that. Very cool programming to program units that actually utilize the Phoenix lift mechanic. It's one of those units that takes a bit of thought on how you're going to utilize them, when you're going to lift, when you're going to harass, when you're going to save them to help defend a push, that kind of thing. And so it's not easy to program, so very cool that the authors of Deimos have taken on that challenge. We see that Phoenix twitching, wanting to lift a Marine, but then they're programmed to retreat when they see there's other Marines to back them up. So, Deimos now getting up a Robo Bay, potentially for a very fast Colossus, which I am all for. A Banshee from MicroMachine, though, is doing work in the natural base of the Protoss, doing some really good harassment. And oh my gosh, how many kills did this thing get? 11 kills. Pardon me for missing more harassment. So, well done there by MicroMachine. I always forget, you really got to pay attention to all units all over the map when MicroMachine is playing, because they really are all alive by themselves. Now, MicroMachine is coming for quite a strong push. I'm not sure Deimos is going to be able to hold on against this. This one Immortal is getting very far forward and not targeting down that siege tank before it perishes. The Phoenix are on the other side of the map, going to be looking for some damage. They may find a couple of SCVs. However, the push from MicroMachine is on top of this Nexus. We'll see if it can cancel this Nexus or not. It does seem that MicroMachine is actually pulling away quite a few of its units. So the Marines abandoned ship. I wonder if they're being pulled home to deal with the potential air threat, while the rest of the units are just hanging out or not. This Nexus is being shot at by the tank. However, that Marauder's got to stay alive to provide vision for that siege tank. As, yeah, the Marauder is the only thing providing vision. Or maybe not. Anyway, MicroMachine with its tank is actually able to see that Nexus, so it will potentially kill it. Meanwhile, the Phoenix are still causing chaos inside the Terran space, and Medivac narrowly survives, pulling up that unit's loss tab. We've had some Vikings die. This Nexus is still being worked on by this siege tank, and Deimos is going to lose a critical base, and that will go down. That's going to be a big hit to the mining of the Protoss, so it's 2 base against 2 bases. Phoenix are still flying around being a nuisance. 5 SCVs have died for MicroMachine, but getting that Nexus for very little resistance is quite nice for the Terran bot. We have got the Phoenix still coming on in, being a nuisance. Cyclones are chasing them down, but they're doing a really good job avoiding them. And yeah, those Phoenix are just darn good harassing in this main base. The starport positioning leaves these units in a little bit of a vulnerable spot. However, now the Phoenix are kind of trapped in that upper left, so we're getting Deimos move out onto the map. Blink is being researched behind this. MicroMachine is trying to secure up a 3rd base, but the Terran is going to have to deal with this Protoss attack as in comes Deimos pushing towards the natural. The tanks are sieged up at the 3rd. There is one on the high ground at the natural that could help out. But Deimos is here, and it means business. More Stalkers are crossing the map. There's one Colossus with this army. These 2 tanks are by themselves, nothing to buffer. I mean, they are getting some good shots off, and they're both still alive for now. I'm not sure how long that'll last, but the Observer not being in position allows this Banshee to chase the Stalkers away. The tanks are sieging up once more. So the Banshee really sends Deimos running. And the Phoenix are still in that main base, causing a little bit of trouble. Viking trying to shoot one of them down. But the Phoenix do grab a couple of SCVs. Still, though, MicroMachine has got its 3rd base done, whereas Deimos is just restarting that 3rd. That push didn't really amount to much, so I think it is a little bit behind. This Viking is trying to pull the Phoenix out of their little hidey hole into the range of those Cyclones, so these Phoenix may just die, and they are caught between a rock and a hard place. And the difference is, the bot is just doing its programming to keep those units alive, retreat them from the threat, which doesn't always work, so the Phoenix don't really recognize that they're toast. One of them stays alive for now, but I spoke a little too soon, as it will go down. And yeah, that is one of the things that's very difficult to program into your bot, to know when to take the best trade possible, not just to retreat, because that's a very difficult call to make on the fly, or to program into a bot. MicroMachine is muling its 3rd base, so it's got quite a nice income. +1 attack upgrades are done, and this Terran bot is moving across the map. There's Stalkers, there's Colossus to try and deal with this army. Blink really helps take out the Cyclones, so 2 of those go down. More Cyclones are out on the map, but the Stalkers can easily blink on top of them, and they do. Deimos being aggressive, as always, with its Blink Stalkers. That's one of the things you gotta love most about the bot. The problem is these Vikings are gonna shred these Colossus, and they definitely do. With the with the Colossus threat being removed, the Vikings just land. However, another Colossus walks to the wrong side of town, and the moving while shooting of MicroMachine makes the Vikings look really cool and makes them look like they're even shooting faster. Although I'm pretty sure that's not the case. It's just the fact that they move right after they shoot. Unlike when humans, it's usually just like sort of set and forget the Vikings in the skies. So Deimos, it's still got its Blink Stalkers, but it lost those very important high value Colossus. MicroMachine, meanwhile, is building a battle cruiser. It's getting out more upgrades behind this, so going to be up to 5 bases against a 4-base Protoss. Deimos is in quite the spot of bother, unless it can pull out one of its rabbit in the hat wins, where it just kind of gets aggressive with a big Protoss army that just has very good control. And MicroMachine's got to be careful with its army as it moves out. Out goes this Terran force. Tanks on the ground are definitely threatening. There is, I mean, not too much bio left for MicroMachine. But here comes that Terran force moving up the ramp. This third Nexus is going to be in trouble once again. Deimos is going for a counterattack, going to be breaking MicroMachine's 4th base. It's morphing into an orbital, but I'm not sure it's going to even live that long. SCVs are not able to defend or repair that command center, and that's a nice pickoff for Deimos. At the same time, the Protoss bot is going to lose its own base, could potentially lose lots of probes here too. Vikings just absolutely massacre probes, 2-shotting them. And now there's even Marauders running around the natural base, so Deimos is going to have to come home to try and defend this. It's going to give it its all, it looks like, but the Protoss bot is going to need some really fancy footwork. There is a chance if these tanks are caught unsieged, then maybe the Stalkers can just deal with them, and that it could have been the case if the Stalkers went forward instead. Now they're kind of being distracted by this random battle cruiser in the skies that MicroMachine has produced. Vikings are still flying around. I think Deimos should be able to defend and hold on, but to what avail, because it is down to 40 workers, potentially going to be losing its 3rd mining nexus. Meanwhile, MicroMachine is on 5 bases just doing its thing, hitting its stride. Deimos is going to need a miracle here if it wants to come back in this game. And yeah, I'm not sure what it could do. There's a 4th base that's building still. Deimos is moving out on the map, but oh man, look at all those tanks for MicroMachine. Hopefully Deimos doesn't blink forward into that. If it can get another attack where it kind of goes around and hits an undefended base, then maybe that could be what it needs to come back in this match. However, a Banshee's now working away on these units. An Observer does come in to help out with that. A scan drives that Observer away, though. Colossus and Stalkers are moving in to this base once more that MicroMachine is trying to reestablish. The Vikings just annihilate the Colossus, though, and then they're so good at avoiding the Stalkers, too, while being able to pick off the Colossus. This Banshee may even kill 2 Stalkers. There's only 1 Stalker left as the cloak runs out, so that's not enough to deal with the Banshee, so that goes down. Looks like, oh, that's cool, that some of the Stalkers and the Colossus actually went into the main base. Unfortunately, it failed hard, and now Deimos has practically got no units left alive. MicroMachine's just mech aggression is a little bit too much, it seems, as the Terran bot just came out on top from rather early on with getting that 3rd Nexus, and then Deimos didn't really get too much in return. The Phoenix being caught in the corner definitely hurt, and I do believe that this is probably going to be game, because like Deimos does not have a lot going for it. This base is still mining, but here comes all the tanks of MicroMachine. There's presently 11 tanks for the Terran bot, and yeah, this base is not long for this world. There is 8 Stalkers against 4 battle cruisers. Those are not good odds for the Stalkers. I mean, they are doing their fancy micro, fanning out around the battle cruisers to minimize the shots it's able to take. But then, of course, the BCs, they take a little bit of damage, and they just jet on home to be repaired. This 4th Nexus is completely ransacked and probably going to go down soon. Deimos losing one of the 4 out of 10 games that it loses against MicroMachine usually, I suppose. But what a great match it was between these two. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see more Deimos versus MicroMachine games, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like before Deimos loses all its buildings. And subscribe to the channel if you watched all the way to the end but you're not a subscriber. This is a place where I post daily bot content for the most part. And yeah, well done by MicroMachine. The old dog still got it, but Deimos, we'll see if I cast another match between them. Maybe that would be another good best of 3 to do. Deimos against MicroMachine if I do cast another 3 bot games back to back. And yeah. Here we have battle cruisers, tanks flying around, shelling all over the place. Gonna be cleaning up this battle cruiser, or this Protoss main base with the battle cruisers. Oh man, you can tell that I was just on the phone with like with the internet company, as my brain is just fried and maybe I'm out of patience. Anyway, thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.